How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. There's a massive opportunity right now in crypto and Bitcoin, and I want to go through why there is a major opportunity and then some of the cryptos that you could be looking at today if you're trying to start a portfolio or if you're trying to add to positions. If you're looking for cryptos to buy, I'll give you some of my thoughts on the cryptos that I'd be looking at. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this. Also, if you want to trade crypto, there's a link underneath the video to WEEX. This is one of the things I'm doing during this bull run is using low leverage, long positions when we see pullbacks to be able to get huge returns. You can see 72%, 218%, 136, 28%. Recently, I actually talked about it in the Patreon as well. I said, hey, I'm opening a Sui position and I'm adding to a Bitcoin position. So far, we're up 35% in the Bitcoin position. We were down slightly in the Sui position. We're down about 20 something percent. And I said, hey, I'm going to add to this position because I think now is a decent time when we saw this pullback recently. And now we're down about 8% on this position. We also opened up a Solana position though, and opened up a new Bitcoin position. And these are up 15% and 11%. So far, we're coming out way ahead, even though the market's been turbulent recently. If you want to check out the Patreon, I talk about trading a little bit in there, but we're also doing full videos. Joe just filmed a video on cold storage, what to look out for, some of the key things that you need to know. I did an hour-long Q&A session a few days ago, and we continue to add more exclusive videos. We continue to jump in there. This is the time to take crypto really seriously. So if you want to check this out, there's a link to it underneath the video as well, along with that link to BitUniX and WEEX. And we'll talk about Adrise a little bit later in the video, an interesting crypto that's coming to the market. But right now, we just got some macro data. We'll talk about cryptos in a minute, but just set the backdrop for what's happening right now. GDP came in slightly lower than expected, 2.3% versus 2.6% expected. Jobless claims came in slightly lower than expected. Nothing to be concerned about here. The market's kind of interesting because it goes back and forth between, good news is good news and good news is bad news. Right now, GDP coming in a little bit lower than expected, I don't think is the worst thing for the market in terms of how it views this news. The concern right now is that GDP is increasing too much, inflation's going to go too high, and then interest rates have to go back up. That's what a lot of investors are worried about because that will cause the discount rate to change for stocks, making them less valuable, making people want to go less risk on not buying cryptos. But right now, we have a strong economy. We have low unemployment. Inflation seems to be coming down slightly. We have inflation numbers tomorrow, but it seems to be calming down a little bit. So it looks like the Fed doesn't have to rush to bring down rates, but they can slowly bring down rates over time. Maybe start quantitative easing later this year, like a lot of other banks are doing. And at the same time, we're seeing Bitcoin being bought up like crazy. Bitcoin corporate purchases versus the new supply. There are a lot of companies that are buying Bitcoin right now, and they're buying it over 2 times what's being minted or being mined by the Bitcoin miners. So a lot of Bitcoin just taken off of exchanges, off of OTC desks. Tom Lee has talked about how there's manipulation at exchanges on OTC desks as well to try to drop the price, try to liquidate people, try to get people capitulated because there's just not a lot of supply. There are people that are trying to force down the price so that they can buy cheaper as well. Now I think is a pretty interesting time to be adding Bitcoin just for the fact that you can still buy before a lot of nations buy. David Sachs just talked about how they're still reviewing Bitcoin. They're going to be looking at adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet. And Trump has said that they're going to buy Bitcoin. They're going to hold, I should say, he's going to create a strategic reserve. So they're going to hold Bitcoin, then possibly add to it over time. He said they're going to do this. Now, right now, they have to study it, but it seems like this is the inevitable next step. We already know pensions are adding Bitcoin. There are some pensions that haven't been able to buy it yet, some that have already bought it. There are hedge funds buying. There are states that are trying to buy. So naturally, if you have a scarce asset and you have unlimited money printing, unlimited increases in productivity due to AI and robotics, that productivity, that money is going to try to find a home somewhere. And Bitcoin's the only thing that is truly scarce that can't be made more of. And a lot of people want this to be done. A lot of people want the US to be buying Bitcoin or hold Bitcoin at least. So most likely it will get done at some point. At the same time, we continue to see other countries adding to Bitcoin or Bitcoin-related positions. Norway's central bank's fund owns $500 million worth of MicroStrategy shares. We know the Czech Republic's looking at, or their central bank is looking at adding Bitcoin exposure as well. Tesla just announced earnings, and they're up 300% on their Bitcoin investment. They made $600 million in unrealized Bitcoin gains in Q4. The change in accounting rules allowed them to show this. So now they have 26% of their Q4 earnings coming from Bitcoin gains. I mean, think about what this is going to look like for MicroStrategy. Right? They're adopting the FASB rules in Q1 of 2025. They have 48 times more Bitcoin than Tesla. This is insane. They're going to show a massive profit this quarter. Now, at the same time, we have the president of the U.S. Now selling watches on his website, and you can pay with Bitcoin or Trump tokens on Solana Pay. Okay, so we're just in a crazy time, right? We're in a crazy time with crazy things happening. I think now is a decent time to be adding to crypto if you feel like you need more exposure. I know some people that are literally selling their properties to go buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin's one of the only things that outperforms the growth in the money supply as well. Like if you're investing in the S&P 500, sure, you make 10% a year, but that's basically just keeping up with the debasement of currency. So you're basically treading water. You're taking your hard-earned money and then going and saving it at basically 0% real growth. So Bitcoin provides a long-term asset, or it is a long-term asset that you can get slight outperformance, or actually pretty good outperformance because it averages like 40 to 50% a year compounded annual growth. So this is an interesting time. You have to have a long-term time horizon, but I think there are opportunities right now because we still have the ability to buy before governments. We still have not gone to the historic blow-off top moment of the bull run. If you're buying now, you have to be willing to hold for 4 or 5 years, just in case. But right now, it seems like we have a good setup. The Fed still has a lot of leverage to be able to lower rates over time. The economy looks good. People have money to spend generally. There's low unemployment. There's never been more good news for crypto. There's been massive changes in accounting rules and custody law as well recently. So things look really good. The question is, where do you invest, right? Let me talk about Adrise, today's partner, and we'll talk about some cryptos to be paying attention to be looking at buying, some that I have added to recently in long positions. Now, while I'm recording this, the market is super interesting because a lot of AI is scared about DeepSeek. It kind of blew up over the weekend. Nvidia is down like 17% here today. But I still think that AI is going to be one of the hottest sectors in crypto. When you think about crypto, it's about narratives a lot of the time. Like if you realize how the game is played, narratives is what drives the altcoin market, right? And AI is the hottest narrative this cycle. Now, I want to talk about one that's a partner of the channel, Adrise. Adrise is super interesting. They're going to be the first AI to replace marketing agencies. You can lay back and let AI audit your campaigns, boost your SEO, and generate social media posts that drive engagement. You can see that here on Twitter as well. Now, to be clear, this is super new. Like this is going to be risky. But right now, there's not even a token. It's just a Twitter page and a website. This is kind of similar to what Alex Becker's old company did before he sold it, or maybe what they still do, but Hyros. It's going to be really interesting to see how this progresses. And obviously, AI agents are super hot in crypto right now and have been over the last number of months. So I'm going to be paying attention to Adrise. If you want to check it out, I'll leave a link to it underneath the video because they are a partner of the channel. But this is one that I'm keeping my eye on, and hopefully they can launch a token. Hopefully they can deliver on what they're talking about here because it sounds pretty awesome to me. Now, I believe Adrise is launching a token later this week, so if you want to check that out, you can look at it underneath the video. Now, one crypto that I own a small portion of, but I think could do really well this bull run is Altura. This is in the gaming and AI space. Obviously, like Trump has talked about spending $500 billion towards AI. I feel like just in general, the AI space will explode in crypto. Now, are all these great projects that are going to be here for the next 10, 20 years that are doing real things? No. But Altura is kind of at that crossroads where I think actually is valuable. They're actually doing good work. And then also it's in gaming and AI. It's around $100 million market cap. So still like far down on this list in terms of the largest cryptos. Also one crypto that I'm invested in here, TARS AI, I think could do quite well. It's around $194 million market cap. It's on Radium, Bybit, Mexi, Gate.io. Again, another AI crypto as well. And if we just zoom out here, it's taken a nice little dip, right? It's down 40% or so from the recent high. I think this could do really well. So like, I would probably put a little bit in AI, like the higher, I don't want to say higher risk, but like the mid cap AIs, because they'll probably run really hard during the bull run. And I could always be wrong. But I think those are probably pretty good bets. Official Trump token. A lot of people hated this, right? They think it's vaporware, which, I mean, it's a meme coin. What do you expect? But as you can see, it's kind of just bottomed out here around a $5.5 billion market cap. If we go over to the price, this is around a $20 to $30 price. Initial pump, big sell-off. It's come down 70% in price. There hasn't been much news about this, but let's say the market continues to pump, right? Let's say that Bitcoin goes to new all-time highs. Let's say Trump creates a strategic Bitcoin reserve. He's talking about it. He's pumping his chest saying, hey, I pushed Bitcoin up from 100,000 to 300,000 during my presidency, whatever it is. Like, don't you think that the official Trump meme token will probably pump pretty hard in that scenario? I think so. Like, in terms of meme coins, I think Trump token would probably do fairly well, right? There are going to be a lot of people that feel strongly that Trump has brought money into their life, and they're going to go support him, right? Another crypto that I think could do really well, Chainlink. It's probably one of the most undervalued cryptos of the big caps, probably the most undervalued. I mean, if we look at the last 1 year, it's up 64%. Bitcoin's up 140%, and Chainlink's up 64%. It's not even halfway to its all-time high from last cycle. Over almost 4 years, it's gone down 50%. Yet this is the oracle that everyone uses within crypto. If you want real-world applications for crypto, you're going to use Chainlink. So I think Chainlink will probably do well too. The price has been suppressed for a long time though. So this is a blue chip that maybe underperforms a little bit, but I think is definitely going to be around for the coming cycles. Another one, Sui. I've been talking to the Patreon about Sui. I've added to my Sui position a couple times to my long positions. Luckily I was in Sui around $1 or $2 on long positions, made really good money. We're up significantly. And we've been adding to Sui positions over time because Sui does this thing. It does this thing pretty consistently where it takes a big 30% pullback and then moves up significantly. Like, let's just look. Let me actually pull up Trading View. I've talked about this multiple times, but Sui continuously does this, and I'm surprised that people continue to get freaked out when this happens. Sui USDT. Here we go. Okay, so Sui makes a huge run up, then falls down.
I found this on the web.
I don't know why Siri thinks that I need her, but you see 32% pullback, then massive rally up, right? We go up from $1.50 up to almost $4, right? And then we see another 25% pullback.
Okay, I found this.
And then it moves up to new all-time highs, then falls down 25%, then goes up to new all-time highs, then goes down 28%, then went to new all-time highs, then it fell down 35%. So I was adding to the position around 25% down, 30% down, because I figure we'll probably get a bounce. I could always be wrong, right? If we go into the next bear market, it's not a good idea to leverage long, right? But we have stop losses. This is money that we can afford to lose, all that kind of stuff. Now, let's say we move to a new all-time high, right? We outperform a little bit. Let's say we go up to $6. Well, that is a nice 65% gain. Okay, on 3x leverage, 2x leverage, you're talking about 120 to 300 to 200% gain. And this is just continuously doing what it has done in the past. This is not some like pie in the sky scenario where it's going to $100 or anything like that. No, this is it going just 10% above the previous all-time high, which it consistently does. So I've been adding to the Sui position. Recently, they went live on Phantom. So, I mean, Solana has been the place for gamblers, right, with meme coins. And now you can get to Sui pretty easily through Phantom. So I think it will continue to do well. Solana surpasses all other chains combined in 24-hour DEX volume, dominance at 52%, $11.4 billion in volume compared to $3 billion on Binance, compared to $2.8 billion on Ethereum. And as the market goes on, and as we get deeper into the bull market, congestion will take place. It'll be more and more expensive to run transactions. I hadn't done anything on BSC in a while, but I traded some tokens on PancakeSwap, and I was kind of surprised with the cost. I mean, it's not anything huge, but 30 cents for a transaction compared to Solana where it's like not even a penny. So, I mean, you start doing 5-10 transactions a day, like you're noticing a few dollars going out here and there, which isn't a big deal. But if you're looking at doing this for a lot of transactions, BSC is not the place to go. Solana is. It's unlimited for under a penny, essentially. Ethereum, I mean, you're looking at $10 transaction fees right now, $5 to $10, and it's only going to get worse. Base is cheap. I believe Arbitrum's cheap, Sui's cheap, but yeah, out of the top cryptos, like Solana is by far the cheapest, and it's only going to get cheaper relatively during this bull run. Also, Solana has taken a big pullback. I mean, look at Solana from the peak to the recent drop. It fell hard. I mean, there's a lot of evidence showing that it was manipulated, but it went down from 300 to 220. I mean, that's a decent sized pullback there for a big cap. So I think Solana will continue to do well during the bull run. Now, are you going to get a 10x on Solana? Probably not, but you might get, a nice 2, 3, 4x, something like that. Obviously not financial advice. XRP, another one. This one, people either love or hate, right? XRP has performed really well over the last 2-3 months, going from 50 cents all the way up to $3.50 to new all-time highs in terms of market cap. It's shown really strong technicals as well. We continue to jump up to new all-time highs, consolidate, move up to new all-time highs, consolidate, use the previous resistances as support. And yeah, the fact is, if you think that the banks are going to start using crypto, there's a good chance that they'll use XRP or Ripple. Ripple also has deep connections within the White House. Brad Garlinghouse has met with Trump several times. There's some scuttlebutt about XRP being included in a crypto reserve. I don't want to comment on that, but the fact is, XRP, like the people that buy XRP are insane. Not in a bad way necessarily, but like the XRP army feels very strongly about XRP. I mean, they've held for 5, 6, 7, 8 years without really much price action, except for a few pumps here and there. So they're willing to buy and hold for a long time. There are people too that see this and believe it. Like XRP went from 0.003 to $3.31 in 2017. Now what's stopping it from going from $3 to $3,000? Well, math, not to piss anyone off, but there are people that actually think like this, that XRP can go up to $3,000. This is something that's a classic beginner mistake, but people look at the price of cryptos instead of the market cap. So a lot of times in real life, if you're going to buy something, right, you're going to go buy an orange. I don't know, maybe it's $1, maybe it's 80 cents. And like, there's just that difference, right? It's very obvious what the difference is in price. But the difference in price is not quite so straightforward for newer crypto investors. They're looking at the price of one token instead of looking at the market cap, right? XRP just has a lot more tokens than something like Ethereum. It's not 1,000 times cheaper. It's 2 times cheaper, but there are a lot more XRP tokens. So you get less of the overall circulating supply of XRP tokens when you buy one XRP versus one Ethereum. So people think, oh, well, it can just go up 1,000x. What's stopping it? Well, if it goes up 1,000x, it's going to be $178 trillion. That is almost 100 times bigger than Bitcoin right now. So I'm not saying, I don't think it's very likely. I don't think it's very likely for XRP to get anywhere close to that. Now, does it do $5, $6? Yeah, I think it could do really well. I think that's still a good return considering it was 50 cents a couple months ago. I think it could go even higher than that as well. Part of it's just dependent on how long the cycle goes, what kind of news comes out for XRP, how high does Bitcoin go. But the fact that there are people that are thinking it's going to $30, $100, $3,000, the fact that they think that means that they probably won't sell. Right? They won't sell at $10. They won't sell at $8. They're going to hold out because they think that one day it's just going to go from 10 to 500 to 3,000, and they don't want to miss out. So the fact is that gives you, a holder base and a buying base that will continue to accumulate even when they probably should be selling off because they're significantly in the profit. So that kind of opens some opportunity for you and me. Ethereum has been probably the ugliest chart in all of crypto. I mean, this is the Bitcoin Ethereum chart or ETH Bitcoin chart going from 0.54 all the way down to 0.19. And I think, this is CryptoCap. But the price of Ethereum has just cratered versus Bitcoin. It's been super ugly. I think Ethereum could see a bounce at some point. I've been banking on this, right? Ethereum is one of my larger holdings, and I've wanted to rotate it just out, but it just continues to devalue, and I think it's going to have a bounce at some point. I mean, we've seen little bounces, right, here and there, but right now, I think Ethereum's a little bit mismanaged. Like, they have not tried to get leaner and meaner. They're not trying to compete with other cryptocurrencies. I think they're just slow to act right now. They're not even at all-time highs again or even close to it. I think eventually news will come out on Ethereum, and it's one of the safer cryptos. So if you need to weigh down your portfolio with something, ETH might not be the worst idea. With that in mind, though, like, it is more risky than something like Bitcoin. So do you really want to buy Ethereum? I don't know. But again, it's just, if it just comes back to the mean, let's say it goes up to 0.3 or 0.03, depending on like how you're looking at. Let's say it just goes halfway up to where it was last bull market in terms of the ETH Bitcoin valuation. I mean, then you're looking at it outperforming Bitcoin by 50 to 70%. So yeah, maybe we get a bounce. There's some new narrative with Ethereum. They do something right for once. And then you have a $10,000 Ethereum with Bitcoin at maybe $200,000 or something. So I think it could do well. And then obviously the Big Mac Daddy, Bitcoin. Bitcoin at $105,000, if you have a long-term time horizon, is probably still a great buy, right? If you have a 5, 10, 20-year time horizon, if you're not worried about the next month, who knows what happens in the next month or 2 months or 5 months or 6 months or a year or 2 years. But over time, Bitcoin's going to perform very well. It's off the highs about 4%. There are times where it's manipulated down in price. There are liquidations and you can get in at a slightly better price. So would I wait for Bitcoin? Probably not, right? But I might take advantage a little bit heavier when we see those dips. So how would I construct a portfolio, right? Let's say I realize this is a bit of a longer video, but let's say I had $1,000 and then maybe a couple $100 a week, right, to add into Bitcoin. What I do is I break it up, right? I break up the portfolio in terms of Bitcoin, big caps, and then either really small caps, or what I probably do even more than that is leverage trade with a small percentage. Of course, you have to know what you're doing because it is risky, right? So let's say, again, I have $1,000. I have $200 to add, let's say every 2 weeks. So $100 a week, we'll call it. Depending on if you're risk averse or you're risk on, I would invest slightly differently. We actually made a full video on this on a $70,000 a year salary in the Patreon. Talk about like 3 different scenarios: risk on, risk off, and then like a median. So depending on how risky you want to take it. What I personally would be doing would be to dollar cost average into Bitcoin with a significant portion of the portfolio, no matter what. Maybe it's my personality, but I think with that kind of money, you have to be thinking long term, because if you always think short term, I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking short term with their investments, and then they just don't make any traction for years. I know a lot of people my own age, right, that are sports gambling or wasting money here or there, trying to buy lottery tickets. And if they just accumulated wealth over time, they'd end up much better, right? In crypto, you still want to invest in Bitcoin, even if you feel like you need to go a little bit riskier, because you want to accumulate a base. Bitcoin's going to be around, especially if Bitcoin's being bought up by governments here soon. Like it's gonna go up significantly. So I put at least 50% into Bitcoin. And honestly, personally, I'd be more than that. I'm actually 80% Bitcoin myself, but maybe you want some outperformance, right? Let's say you have that $1,000, $500 goes into Bitcoin. I'd buy big caps with maybe 30% of the rest of the money. So $300, I'd buy, Solana, Sui, maybe some XRP, maybe a little bit of Ethereum, but with this amount of money, I try to stick to the cryptos that you think are really going to outperform this bull run. Ethereum, it's going to be around, but I don't think I'd make it a priority at that point. And then I'd maybe take 5 to 10% for riskier bets. Still realizing that if you go too risky, you can lose the money. And then if you go into the mid caps, they'll probably perform pretty well during the bull run. So I'd spend 5 to 10% doing that. And then maybe 5 to 10% leverage trading on large caps and trying to keep it risk off. So I guess I can go into that as well. Let's look at some of these trades I made recently. Let's look at Solana. So I did a live trade in the Patreon, and I placed the trade saying, what if you came into the market and, you weren't coming at the best timing, right? You're not at the bottom of the bear market. You're not necessarily right at the bottom of resistance either, like right here, or right at the bottom where we're going to hit support. Let's just say you come in and Bitcoin's at the price it's at. It's not at the perfect time, or Solana's not at the perfect time, but you come into the market and you want to lever trade. Okay, so I came in, I think we had bounced already, and I was making the video. I said, okay, well, Solana's at $231. This is what I do if I was going to place a long, if I wanted to start leverage trading. Okay, so look at the chart here. Solana fell down. Eventually, we saw the resistance turn into support. So we went above the line, came back down, went and continued moving up. So bullish pattern there. But then we saw a nice pullback. This is what I like to see. We go from 290 down to 223, a nice 25% pullback. I realize it can still fall further, but I want to leverage trade. I want to get access to a little bit more capital. So I'm looking at this position. Okay, we bounced a little bit. We're at 230. If I go 3x long Bitcoin, that gives me an estimated liquidation price of 155. Okay, that is significantly lower than any time that we went anywhere that we've been recently. So I'm looking at this at 231 thinking, okay, again, I want access to more capital, right? So I'm going to leverage trade. If I put this at a 3x leverage, it could go down another 33% to $155. That is a point that we have not seen since Trump was elected. And that was the bottom, right? 155. So I would think there would be a lot of support before then, right? We would have to break to new lows recently. We would have to break below this previous resistance of 222. We'd have to break below all the support at 185. We'd have to break below this recent support at 170. We'd have to go down significantly, 33% on top of the 25% we just went down. So I felt fairly safe. The thing is, too, you can always add more margin. So let's say we went down to 160, 170, and I'm worried about getting liquidated. I can add a little bit more margin to lower the liquidation price. And then, same thing with Bitcoin, right? We're not coming in at the exact perfect time. I entered at 101, so there's some weakness in the market for sure. But it's not like we're buying right here at $90,000 or something. It's not like I'm nitpicking the best time to buy. But we saw some weakness. We saw a very similar chart setup, down sloping resistance that we flipped into support. We started to move back up, and I said, okay, well, we're at 101. I think we're going to go much higher. I'm going to do lower leverage, 4x. So this means that our liquidation price would be 76,000. Well below anything that we've been recently, anywhere we've been recently. And actually, if we even go down into the 80s, and I still get nervous about, let's say I get nervous about it hitting 76,000, we saw significant resistance around 73, 74,000. There are several times where we hit that, and typically, if we're falling down, we'd use that as support. If we continued to break down to new lows, we'd flip this resistance into support and bounce there. So I could always add a little bit more margin if we get down there around 73,000, 74,000. And we could flip that into support and then continue moving up. So I'm trying to put it around like significantly lower prices than we are at right now. I'm trying to do it at opportune times where we already are seeing a bullish pattern, but let's say we continue to break down. I have a lot of wiggle room. We've already come down a little bit from the all-time high, and I can always add a little bit more margin. So in terms of leverage trading, I think this is relatively risk off. Now, where the benefit comes in is, Bitcoin's up 3%, 4% since we opened this trade, but we're up 15%. Okay, that's pretty good. Obviously, we're getting 4x the return minus a little bit of fees compared to what we normally get. Let's say Bitcoin goes up to 200,000. That would be a 2x from where we got in, but instead we're going to get 400% gain. So you get much larger returns. And this is kind of nice for the riskier part of your bag. Let's say, again, you have 5 or 10% of your portfolio going into something riskier. I think this is less risky, honestly, than investing in really small cryptos that you don't really know if they're going to be around in a few months or a few years. A lot of smaller cryptos do end up going to zero. So doing something like this, you can invest in something large that you already understand, right? Like you probably know what Sui is, you probably know what Solana is, you probably know what Bitcoin is, and you're just playing the numbers game, right? You're just betting that it doesn't go down below this certain price before you take profits, and you can always set stop losses. You're betting that it goes up. This is a nice thing too because it doesn't take a lot of extra time, right? Compared to researching small cryptos all the time, trying to time getting in and out of the market. Like you're already looking at the market every day in terms of the big caps, so you're not adding much more to your plate. And if this is the higher risk part of your portfolio, it's much easier to take profits from leverage trading than selling cryptos, in my opinion. Like you just already know that this is the higher risk part of your portfolio, so this is where you take profits. The rest maybe let ride a little bit longer, of course, you have to do your own due diligence as well, because I can't tell you what to do. I'm not saying that this is right for anyone, for everyone either. Like some people just shouldn't leverage trade because they can't keep their emotions in check or they get too greedy or something like that. But I think this can be a useful part of, a small portion of your portfolio. Of course, like if you're using 5 or 10% of your portfolio for leverage trading, I would not put 5 or 10% into each trade because you lose one time, you get liquidated and it's just gone. So this is all something to consider. If you want to join the Patreon, we can talk more about it. I filmed a 40-minute video on leverage trading for the Patreon, so you can check that out. If you want to try leverage trading for yourself, there's a link to BitUniX and to WEEX underneath the video. I really do appreciate you guys watching. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. Let's see if there's any other news for Bitcoin in general or crypto. The market's about to open. The fact is there's still a lot of upside. I feel like Bitcoin in general is still kind of a divisive thing as well. The ECB president, Christine Lagarde, just said that she's confident Bitcoin won't enter reserves in the EU. The fact that some people feel like it won't happen is why there's still a lot of upside, right? There's still adoption happening. There's still people that don't believe in Bitcoin that eventually will flip bullish. This consistently happens. And then they'll be buying at the price that they deserve. Let me know your thoughts on all this. Again, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next one. Again, you can check out Adrise underneath. You can check out BitUniX, the Patreon, WEEX. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.